Seamus Coleman has signed a new one-year deal with Everton Football Club. The club captain had been out of contract on the 30th of June. It's a deal which, I'll be honest, I've been wondering why this has taken so long. But there you go, it is out there now. Ped, me and James done a video a couple of weeks ago about the importance of him maybe going into this next season. How important do you feel it is for David Moyes and for the squad in general? Because it is a summer of a lot of changes at Everton Football Club.
I think from what, it's been said in the statements from Seamus Coleman has said about David Moyes being so important, and David Moyes has said about Seamus Coleman being so important in this year, summer of transition. And I think that's why it is an important signing. Listen, I honestly don't know how many games of football he's going to play. No. But I think from day one, David Moyes reiterated how important he is to have him around the squad. I think, Seamus Coleman, a lot is often said about players and what they mean to the squads and what a captain is. Well, it would seem that Seamus Coleman is just so vitally important to Everton as a human being, as a leader, as someone who has his own way of internally coaching players, and I think it's huge. And I just think it's a really important step before we get. I think we're going to move into obviously a busy period now. Once the 1st of July comes, where we'll be looking to recruit lots of players, and I think it's important that there's someone there, almost like welcoming every player in, one by one. To the football club, and letting people know what the values of the football club are and what the standards are.
What do you make to people who say it's a sentimental decision and it's waste of a wage? Because I've seen a few people say, I thought we were moving away from this. I think there's certain examples where you have to almost go, no, Park, you're right, that's what we want to be doing, but this isn't one of those things. Because I do think, listen, he's been a fantastic servant to Everton. He's played 428 games for Everton. Cost 60 grand. We all know the story by now. It's his 16th year that he's been at Everton for. 37 in October, we know he's not. And you're absolutely right. What was it, 5 games he played last year, was involved in? I'd be amazed if it's that many this season, but you'd never know, of course. But he is there every day. But there is such a lot of stuff going on at Everton right this minute that it's more than that, isn't it? On that, we should be moving away from those decisions. Don't get me wrong, but I feel with him, I believe he's sort of a special case.
I think everyone recognises that he is a special case, and hopefully we're going to tie Signana Gay up as well. I think he's another one who brings that leadership to the squad, and it is important to have that leadership. But he's different though, isn't he? Because he has been available. Yeah, and he is. As I'm saying, he's like the other side of the scale, isn't he? Someone who does play every week. It's the other side of the coin, but it is just. I think he's still got something to give, and it mightn't be playing football. And you know what? I don't know what his wages are. I don't really care what his wages are. All I know is I want an Everton Football Club with Seamus Coleman, and if that makes me a romantic, so be it. I'm not into this. Like, there's like a coldness that's coming into football, obviously with the money, or has come into football with the money, this coldness. And it's like, you've got to have standards. You've got to have people who understand what those standards are. We've watched the standards at Everton just drop and drop and drop and drop over the years, and people come into our football club and they believe that our levels are, whatever they think they are. And there's not enough people at the football club to tell them no. And that starts with the manager. And the manager, we've got a manager now who believes that Everton should be right at the top. They're the standards that he puts out. And he believes Seamus Coleman has those same standards. And I think the more voices there are at the club who are pushing that narrative, the more people will believe it. The more, like David Moyes last season when he was asked questions about like where you want to be, and he was like, I remember the Brentford game, he was like, emulate Brentford. We're bigger than Brentford, basically, is what he said. And I think you've got a person in Seamus Coleman who does that as well, who's prepared to puff out his chest, and he's not still lives in the city, understands what it means, still talks to fans on a regular basis, understands the passion of the fans, isn't someone who ever goes hiding understands when times are bad what needs to be said, but he understands, I think, the fan base, and I just think it's so important, again, in that era of having players who are so distant from the fan base where you can't get near players. Seamus Coleman still feels like an approachable person that you could have a conversation with on the street. And listen, loads of people go, yeah, but that doesn't matter. I believe it does matter. I believe it does. It is important to have him around the squad. And listen, Seamus Coleman will be looking to play games of football. He'll be looking to get on the pitch. He'll be looking to get himself fit. He's had a bad season with injuries. He'll be looking to put that behind him and find the solutions to how he can play. Listen, he wants to still play for Ireland as well. That's an important thing for him as well.
Cup, yeah.
And in a World Cup year, that's an important thing for him as well. So, for you know, he's just massively important, and it doesn't really. It's everything now spreadsheets and XGs, and I just think things like him, the values that he can install and other, they're the
intangibles that you can't put on a spreadsheet, that's it. And I think you're absolutely right. It's, if you're talking 5 or 6 of these kind of sentimental decisions, then yeah, but he is a special case. But I think you're right though as well, he isn't someone who will just take the money for the sake of it and go, I'll just do this. He will want to play games, and then it is up to, if it's Kenny Tetty coming in or if it's Jake O'Brien, whoever it is, it's up to them to make sure they're doing better than him and playing fitter than him and all that, and making sure that he isn't getting in the team because they're doing well, and that is part of that driving those standards up. He'll still have that. He doesn't strike me as the type of person who would just sign the deal for the sake of it. You know, I think David Moyes probably had to do a bit of work with him on convincing him. And maybe it is him going, you know what, I will have one more go. There's a World Cup. Ireland might get there. What a way to hang your boots up at the end of next season if you're in. Because the Ireland manager, who's actually doing quite well, has said, we want him. We want him to help us get to the World Cup. We want him at the World Cup because he's so huge to have around a place. Well, if everyone keeps saying it, we've had Sean Dyche saying about him, we've had Frank Lampard waxing lyrical about him, the best person he's ever met in football. We've had Carlo saying how key he was. You know, they've all been through that same thing of how important it is. And you're right, maybe he hasn't felt the messaging from the top has been what he wants it to be. So it's because when you were saying he's someone who'll believe Everton should be at the top and drive them standards, I can hear other people going, well, he's been there all this time and our standards haven't been like that. But if he doesn't feel like he's getting that message right from the very top, it's harder to try to drag everyone when players are like, what the manager's saying? The manager's saying 17's like winning the Champions League, so we're all right, mate. He's
loyal to the football club though, isn't he? He's loyal to the football club, he always has been. But he doesn't, you know, he has to he can always... He portrays a message. He's never going to go against the people who run the football club. He's got the loyalty to the football club. But internally, you know that's the message that he'll be driving. You know that. And now he's got a manager who backs him in that as well. I don't think he's had that for a while. He's had a manager who's backed him and he can actually... And, you know...
And he can fully back the manager.
Yeah.
You know, he is that we are going to wrap it up now, but he is the start of that. Hopefully, as Richard Garner-Gay just touched on there, you know, Everton's player of the season, not only I think with the fans, but the players voted him the player of the season, didn't he? Absolutely outstanding last season. It's key he gets signed up because he is in the team every week, and then hopefully Everton can then add another midfielder who sort of transitions him out the team. That's how it's about, isn't it? But I think he's important, isn't he, going into the
massive,
next bit?
He's massive. He's such a quiet influence on players. He leads his standards. You know, you see him every week, the way he plays. He still doesn't look like, you know, he doesn't look like what his age is. And he's such a unique player as well. So it's important both of them get done, and for those two reasons. And then you had Jared Brantwaite hopefully signing a new deal as well. And then you've got a younger player coming through who other people want. And they're the foundations you're laying for the new players to come in there. You've got your own house in order, and then you're ready to build on top of that. And I think that's really important.
I think you're right, and you don't want too many of them walking out the door. We've got a big job to do. You don't want others that you're hoping have been part of it walking out the door. So there you go, Seamus Coleman. It has been announced he is staying at Everton Football Club for next season, another year at the club. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. How important is it for the club, for the squad, for the manager? How important? And for the fans, someone we all identify with. How important is that? And if you don't think it's important, why don't you think it's important? Let us know in the comments section below. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. See you later.